Seven defendants charged in international narcotics conspiracy that traffic pound quantities of drugs in tricked up trap cars. According to the federal grand jury, they indicted these alleged trafficking ring that imported pound quantities of cocaine and heroin from Mexico, then used BMW trap cars to distribute those drugs throughout the United States. The indictment charges a total of seven defendants with conspiracy to distribute controlled substances and alleges a series of acts between December 7th, 2017 through July 2018. So, as the title reads, we assume that these actual BMWs were actually outfitted with these compartments to distribute throughout the United States. That is false. For the fact that it would be how what they used actually to conceal these actual kilograms, it would be too much work. It'd be too much work for the fact that they had it in their manifolds, their engine manifolds. Therefore, after each delivery, you would have to actually have a mechanic on site or somebody that knows how to actually get to this actual contraband and then put it back together without having any kind of problems, right? It would be too much problems, too many factors can actually throw a monkey wrench in your plan, and so according to we're going to go back to all the way back to 2017. According to the indictment, this actual organization, which they call the Villegas organized organization, the co-conspirators to buy two 2005 BMW X5s automobiles so that could be outfitted with secret compartments to carry narcotics. So these guys are already heavyweights when they actually started buying these actual vehicles because according to them, they already had arranged for shipment of two crates containing 55 pounds of marijuana and honey oil to Orlando. Now, honey oil is expensive. He also advised the actual the organization members uh, to conspire to actually have these shipments delivered through a commercial means, meaning not to use the postal service exclusively, whether it be FedEx or whether it be UPS. He encouraged them to actually get the shipments to the customers by them means. So they were not using these actual cars to distribute in the US, they were actually using them to cross the border. So they had a plug in Mexico because apparently the Mexican supplier and distributes the narcotics from Los Angeles area to customers throughout the United States using both trap cars and commercial shippings. But I don't see them using them trap cars for the fact that it'd be too much of an inconvenience for all parties just to deliver a few kilos, and especially when you're doing good with just actual shipping them commercially, and 2018, uh, the two BMWs belonging to this organization were stopped on the same day in April 2018 at the US Mexico border, where officers found hidden compartments inside their engine manifolds containing multiple kilograms of cocaine and heroin intended for distribution throughout the United States. But here's a big clue. Last year, we're talking about 2019, so the year before, law enforcement seized at least 71,000 in cash, along with pound quantities of cocaine and heroin in connection with this organization. So most likely, these people that actually got this actual product and money seized from, they kept them on the down low, and they worked something out where this actual organization, where these actual the main guys, well, it might have even been the main guys who gave it up, but I doubt it because I'll give you guys a little insight right now. So I'm thinking that there was special trips, special days And you have to be careful when you cross these actual vehicles because they can track an actual history on these actual vehicles. Therefore, if by one actual hour, by one actual duration of actual inconsistencies with this vehicle crossing, say for example, let's just say out there you have a loved one that you want to go see down in Mexico, and you dedicate yourself to see them twice a month on your day off. You start building a pattern. Therefore, the actual computer will actually keep it on a steady pattern. Okay, that's about time this guy crossed. Okay, cross, cross, cross. And but if there's an inconsistency there, that's when they start to arise a suspicion and might take you into secondary, might put a little alert on you saying, this guy usually crosses only twice a month. Now he's up to his sixth time. That's the inconsistencies right there, right? So apparently, they actually found these compartments, and to get these compartments, you have to have a mechanic on site because you just can't go in and just tear this car up without having any kind of evidence that there's something in there. And the government does contract trained, certified mechanics to dismantle engines, transmissions, gas tanks. I remember there's only one time that I can remember that I actually witnessed these type of actual compartments. But this was a GMC Jimmy. It had a custom paint job, custom rims, something that you would actually take to a car show, a lowrider car show. And it makes sense because part of the actual load was inside the transmission, therefore only enabling first and second gear to go into working mode. So the reverse and the other gears were disconnected in order to make room for these actual product. And it would make sense because you're only going to need first and second gear to make it to the board through the border. Then after you cross the border, throw it in the trailer and take it to your destination, which would not be uncommon because you would not drive your show car to your everyday business. You'd actually use a trailer to haul it between cities, between car shows. That's how they transport these actual lowriders. So it made sense in that aspect to have a custom paint, a custom rims. Therefore, who's going to risk losing their pride and joy? That's something that they love, something that they dedicate themselves, their time to lose this type of actual vehicle to a load. And unfortunately, the K9 alerted to it, and it was inside the transmission and a little bit part of the manifold, and it was crystal meth. It was unique because it was that kind of a compartment, and it was different types of actual rest formulas, recipes for the actual different types of meth. Ice, whatever, peanut butter, uh, lemon drop. They had various different types of actual flavors. So it was a very very well organized actual ring because they multiple of them have actual different charges. Like one of the co-conspirators are also charged instead of the other ones also a possession with intent to distribute 13.5 pounds of actual cocaine. Two other co-defendants have been charged with possession with intent to distribute 11 pounds of cocaine. So everybody had their own actual task, and everybody was quite busy. You know what I mean? And they were bringing in quite a bit of weight. For them. There was 7 people in a conspiracy is not a lot. You usually hear about 15, 17, 19, 25, sometimes 30, sometimes, but not 7. It's rare. And now in September 2019, when they actually executed these actual arrest warrants, law enforcement seized 22 kilograms, which is 48.5 pounds of cocaine, 22 firearms, 2 luxury vehicles purchased with the drug proceeds, 3 Rolex watches, and equipment for making butane honey oil, which contains a much higher THC than your traditional products. And actually, one of them was 31 years old, the other one was 29 years old. So they were pretty well knowledge, you know what I mean? And then they're being, of course, they're just being accused of being the actual ringleaders and who obtained kilogram quantities of heroin and cocaine from Mexico for U.S. customers. And along with the possession of cocaine, guns were also found in the home. And so after their 2 vehicles got seized at the port, they still continued to actually conduct business through this organization. And but now they probably were getting it delivered at a more higher price, but they actually had the customers to keep themselves busy, and they didn't to actually get caught with that type of weight in your home. You're comfortable. You got too comfortable just for the fact that them 2 vehicles that they caught at the border that a year ago or so months ago, for you not to be on the heads up that these actual can be traced back to you. And how much did these guys that actually got caught at the port, how much did they talk? Because obviously they were giving up. Because I could see you getting at least one of them vehicles through, but if you get both of them at the same day, on the same day, yeah, you were pretty much told on, you know, that I could honestly tell you that. And so when this actually happens, you would think that you'd actually be a little bit more cautious, be a little bit more aware of actually what the consequences can be. And these guys just kept doing business as usual. Maybe by probably the first months, they probably were pretty laxed. But at some point, you have to think, hey, you can be actual, still be investigated for months, even years sometimes. And throughout the illustration, I showed you guys where where vehicles can be actually manipulated, where they can put actual compartments. And these compartments will only operate if, for example, you have to put in the ignition switch onto the on position without the vehicle on, onto the on position, put into a certain gear of your transmission, and put in, if it's digital, in some kind of digital temperature, and then also with your electrical windows. And then a compartment can actually pop down or pop out depending where the compartment is, and it could be in your dashboard, in your glove box, in the bottom of your actual front fender, in the middle behind your seat, or it could actually be the seat entirely to lift up for you to get to that actual compartment. And there's a couple of videos on YouTube that you could actually, they'll show you actually how this type of actual hidden compartments actually work. But what you want to do with the actual compartments, you want to show as little as you can for actual traces that somebody's been working in that area of that vehicle. You don't want to actually have bolts that are being taken off and put back on in a compartment. You want to have something clean, something flush, something with dust on it. That way you can see that nobody's actually tampered with that area throughout your trip to Mexico. So therefore, if you see any kind of bolts being taken off on your gas tank, and the inspector sees that somebody's used recently a tool to take that gas tank out, that's all they'll actually send it to secondary or run a canine through it. If they see any kind of actual evidence of that vehicle being worked on by a mechanic, basically. Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.